We deserve better than the Farage-Johnson-Trump nightmare.
You can make history, shine a light in the darkness with your vote.
This election is the most important in our lifetimes. At stake is not just Brexit, but what kind of society we want to be.
We will be on your side, rebuilding our country for the many, not the few.
There are less than 2 weeks to go in the election campaign and the stakes could hardly be higher. With Brexit in focus, the future of our NHS and indeed our planet, there is now urgent interest too in the security on our streets following Friday's terror attack on London Bridge.
My thoughts and prayers with all of those affected by the tragic events on Friday. Now, to the case in point, the man in question, he was released due to a law that was passed in 2008 under the last Labour government, where people were released automatically halfway through their sentence.
It's not true that the only option at the time was automatic release halfway through the sentence. There were other options available. It's now not the case either. But people don't want history lessons after this terrorist atrocity. What people want is to put victims first and put keeping communities safe first. And so we can't avoid asking tough questions in general about the Conservative decision to cut more than 20,000 police. We can't do security on the cheap.
We all express our condolences, but nobody apologises. Apologises for the fact the Liberal elite have given us a ridiculous sentencing system. I don't care whether these people were in jail for 6 years or 12 years. If you have committed mass murder, or plan to commit mass murder, you're not just an ordinary criminal, you've got the virus of jihadism.
Clearly, the responsibility of politicians is to do everything we can to keep people safe. He shouldn't have been out. I think we can all agree on that. There are lessons that will require to be learned. But I don't think we do any service to victims or to the wider public to rush to those conclusions or to have knee-jerk reactions. And I frankly don't think Boris Johnson has done any service to victims in the crass way he has sought to politicise this issue during an election campaign.
So the question went to the heart of whether the special relationship should become more or less special. Nigel Farage, there are clear and very vocal concerns about the character of Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's style is very American. It may not be to everybody's taste, but just think about this. He is our most important friend in the world.
Nigel, you're just trying to defend Donald Trump. Have you seen the footage of him boasting about sexually assaulting women?
And it was crass, and it was crude, and it was wrong, and men say dreadful things sometimes. But the point here...
It's just all right, then.
No, they do. They do. But you know
Some
something?
men in particular.
If all of us were caught out for what we did on a night out after a drink...
I'm sorry, is that what you do on a night out after a drink?
What about those rallies where they're shouting, "Send her home"?
Listen, American politics is, in fact, more divided in many ways than our politics.
The words we use matter, whether in public or in private, I mean, it can never be acceptable for a man to talk about grabbing a woman's pussy. And, if you think it is, you should be ashamed of yourself.
What we need in a Prime Minister and in a government is a government that, yes, has a good relationship with the United States, America and other countries, but also a government and a Prime Minister that thinks for themselves.
The NHS is not for sale, never has been, never will be. So you really must stop making these baseless allegations. The real risk to the NHS are your reckless plans for the economy, Richard, which would mean there isn't money to invest, and silly plans like the 4-day week.
It's not Labour's policy to have a 4-day week in the National Health Service.
It has been one of those... Rishi Sunak.
Well, John McDonnell stood there and said very clearly that it would apply to everyone.
People working a 4-day week at some point in the future, in maybe 10 years, is something which could be considered. The Lib Dems, the Conservative Party and the Brexit Party.
Richard, by taking the position that he is, Jeremy Corbyn shows that he's a bystander, not a leader. But can I ask you this? Do you think it is possible for Jeremy Corbyn to negotiate a Brexit deal that is better for our country than remaining in the European Union?
Richard Bergen.
I believe that we can negotiate the best type of Brexit deal, and the people can decide between that credible Brexit deal or remain. But what I would say, Joe, what I would say with respect is, I think that the Liberal Democrats' policy of revoke if they got into government seeks to deepen divisions. It's not very liberal, it's not very democratic,
Okay,
and there are
on
lots
that
of
point,
Lib Dem supporters
it's
or
not
previous Lib
liberal,
Dem
we're-
supporters
We're
who are
standing
very
in an election and
upset
saying
about
what we
it.
would do if we won the election. I think that's democratic. But you haven't answered the question whether you think it's possible that there could be a Brexit deal that is better than remaining in the European Union.
Well,
Yes or no?
the point is, Joe, that we...
The answer is no.
The point is, Joe, that it would be for the people to decide.
Chase.
It would be for the people to decide